So this is the ark they built as a mark for Our Lady of Caysasay, made of adobe stone and coral stone po. Yeah. So let's go see the well po.
Welcome to the second and final part of our 2021 Holy Week special. In part 1, we traveled to the heritage town of Taal and met up with Jersa from Caysasay Taal Tours, who helped guide me throughout this journey back in time. We learned more about the Taal Basilica and got to chat with its parish priest, Father Manuel Guarzon. In the second part, we'll learn about Our Lady of Caysasay and the shrine that was built in her honor. But before that, I first explored my hotel, Paradores del Castillo, which itself is rich in history. I also took a quick stroll around the heritage town to learn a little more about it. Before anything else, I'd like to make a shout out to a fellow YouTuber in the UK who's been very supportive of my channel. He goes by the name Another Hipster, and he takes his Triumph Street Twin as he goes motorcycle camping around the UK. He's one of 3 inspirations for this channel. Okay, let's do this! We start off with Paradores del Castillo. Since this house was originally built in the early 1900s, it still adheres to the footprint and Spanish-American colonial style of the Filipino bahay na bato. It was renovated and completed on March 9, 2015 and called Paradores del Castillo, following the Spanish practice of transforming old castles, monasteries, and historic buildings into government-run bed and breakfast facilities. The root word parar or para means to stop and stay. The Spanish-Filipino surname del Castillo also means castle. Thus, the hotel's name literally means stop at castle. The yellowish cylindrical structure at the background is the old water tank that used to supply the old town of Lemery below. You could see Balayan Bay from here. As I said a while ago, the heritage town of Taal used to be at the shores of Taal Lake, but after the eruption of 1754, which was the largest eruption of Taal volcano, the town was devastated, and so they had to move closer to the ocean. So this is now where it's located. It moved from the shores of Taal Lake to Balayan Bay, facing the West Philippine Sea. Interesting story here is Taal town used to be such a very prosperous town before the eruption in 1754, because the river here, which is called Pansipit River and which connects Balayan Bay to Taal Lake, used to be a wide river, and so galleons used to stop there. They used to cross Pansipit River all the way to Taal Lake to stock up, and so the town actually thrived. But then after the eruption in 1754 and after the town moved, Pansipit River, because of the eruption, became narrower and shallower, and so large ships could no longer pass through it. And little by little, Taal Lake, which used to be a saline lake, changed into a freshwater lake. After a brief stroll around the hotel and the history of this beautiful town, it's now time to take a walk with Jersa to visit the shrine of Our Lady of Caysasay. Jersa first brought me to the San Lorenzo Steps that link the town proper of Taal and Taal Basilica with the shrine of Our Lady of Caysasay. It was interesting to know that the Pansipit River used to run alongside the shrine, and that these steps used to be one of only two ways by which the people at the bottom could reach the Taal Basilica. We took the 125 steps down to the church as Jersa spoke more about it.
They built this staircase po so that the people down here in the Caysasay barangay can go to the Taal Basilica po using this staircase. Because before po, the other way po is the Pansipit River. So wala po silang, they don't have any carriages before to go up po because it's an uphill town. So meron po kaming sabi-sabi before na simbahan ng mahirap and simbahan ng mayaman. Pero mga haka-hanga lang po. Yes po. Because it's a small shrine po and the basilica is the Asia's largest basilica. But it's just a kasabihan lang. Ayun po. Yes po. It's just a saying po. Pero Caysasay Shrine is like one of the oldest structure here in Taal because it was built in 1611. It was first built in 1611 po, but then it was destroyed by the explosion of the Taal volcano, and it was renovated in 1639 up to 1640s po. So this is the Our Lady of Caysasay Shrine, made of coral stone po and adobe din. Ayan. So Our Lady of Caysasay is called the Birhen ng Caysasay. You can see the old houses here. Before po, that is not actually a land. That is part of the river, the Pansipit River po before. So the people here in the Caysasay used to ride a boat to go up at the Taal Basilica po. So this is the river before. So imagine, this street is actually the river, the Pansipit River before.
So this church was damaged during the last Taal eruption in 2020.
Yes.
And there you can see the cracks at the facade of the building and also there at the bell tower. Jersa took me to the rear of the church to reach and touch the image of Our Lady of Caysasay. The image itself is less than a foot tall, and Jersa explained that the image was first found by a fisherman, Juan Maningkad, in Caysasay in 1603. The precise origin of the image is not known, and it actually went missing several times, until it was found by two girls in a spring near the place where it was first found. A series of apparitions by the Blessed Virgin Mary that were documented from 1611 to 1639 were linked to the image, and these are believed to be the first recorded Marian apparitions in the Philippines. We next visited the well of Saint Lucie, which is where the two girls first saw the image and where the public devotion to Our Lady of Caysasay was initially centered. The well is accessed from the San Lorenzo Ruiz Steps. Miracles and healing are also attributed to the waters from the spring coming out from that well.
This is the Santa Lucia well, and this is the miraculous well po they called here in Taal. There is an apparition of Our Lady of Caysasay here. Nakasakay siya sa sampaga tree with the kingfisher birds po, also known as the Kasay-Kasay. That's why Our Lady of Caysasay was called Birhen ng Kasay-Kasay before, until the Spaniards can't pronounce it correctly, they called it Caysasay. That's why they called it the Our Lady of Caysasay po. So this is the ark they built as a mark for Our Lady of Caysasay, made of adobe stone and coral stone po. Yeah, so let's go see the well po. Yeah. So this is the well, 11 feet deep and 6 feet. All right.
And this is the rosary I placed here. I came here last month and I placed this rosary here. It's still here. A couple of months ago, I encountered a really big challenge at work, and it really created some kind of crisis for me. And so last month, my wife and I decided to visit the Basilica of Taal. And at that time, I didn't know about the Shrine to Our Lady of Caysasay. I just found out about it when we arrived here. So we visited the Taal Basilica and the Shrine to Our Lady of Caysasay. Our daughters wanted to join us, but the COVID lockdown restrictions prohibited them to join us, so they just prayed with us from our home. Last week, which was basically exactly a month after we visited this shrine, someone at my work called me up and told me some really great news. The news was basically optimistic and very positive. And so I'm very happy about it. And so that's why I decided to come back here, because when my wife and I came here before, we came here to pray, to reflect, and also to offer a problem up. And so I'm back here to give thanks, because the challenge has not just been resolved, but I also now have the strength to face it. And I guess the couple of lessons I personally learned from this experience. The first is, it's not healthy to focus on the what if questions in life. Otherwise you'll just be bogged down in the problems of the past. Instead, I personally believe that each challenging moment is an opportunity for us to create a transformative experience. It's not just for us, but also for others. When people see how we cope, when people see how we address a particular challenge, especially if it's done with, I guess, a spirit of forgiveness and also a spirit of strength, and as long as you don't sacrifice your principles, I think you are yourself a transformative experience for others. So that's my story with respect to the Shrine of Our Lady to Caysasay. I'm very grateful, and I think it's quite meaningful that I'm starting this entire series on Philippine churches with this personal experience with the Shrine to Our Lady of Caysasay.